American-Italian Food Coalition
Yes.
care very much about international trade and knowing that the world is filled with good trading partners. So you saw firsthand, not only as the ambassador, but also in Congress, how important trade is. Talk a little bit about.
Well, I mean, I just could very simply say, you buy an automobile. Hey, is it an American automobile? Forget it. Those parts in that automobile came from all these countries that gave what they could do well into the product. So there is nothing that is separate and indivisible. So trade is imperative. And if you want to get some important elements within the philosophy or concept, you have to share, you have to try to work it out. And so trade, I think we all know how important trade is. We just need to push it even more.
I can still taste the meatballs. I can still smell her kitchen, like when I think about growing up as a kid. And by the way, we grew up in a blue collar, middle class neighborhood. And, you think about America, how special this place is. Each of these people were leaving Italy for various reasons, primarily a lack of work or economic opportunity. They came to America and they were able to build something for themselves and their families, maintain their cultural identity. I mean, this is just an amazing place. We have to preserve the idea of that for future immigrants, obviously.
All the reasons that both of you ladies know is Italian culture in Italy, in the United States, is a welcoming culture, is an open culture, is a loving culture. Not all cultures are like that. Have you ever been to France? So what I'm so I think I'm not as lovable as my father was or my aunts and uncles were, but I do think in both business and politics, being open to other people, trying to see the best in other people, trying to learn from other people. I mean, all that I think is part of Italian culture. I mean, there's a reason why Italian culture and Latin culture broadly has been so influential all over the world. It's kind of obvious in a way. I mean, you think of Marco Polo. Let's just start there.
But I'm so proud of so many women now, aren't we, Lucy? I mean, when I was elected to the legislature, there were three women in the chamber, 3 in 1979 out of 105, 0 in the Senate. There were about 2 women lobbyists and maybe 2 women on the press desk. It was overwhelmingly male. I can remember walking in at 23, looking around the legislature in Louisiana and saying, what world is this? Because I came from an all-girls high school. I was student body president. Of course, I thought I was large and in charge when I was 17. And, I was, doing all these things. And we had, girls in my class that were doing so many things, and then walked into like hit the wall, of the real world. And it was a battle. It was a battle to find a place, get respect, earn respect, sort your friends, supporters from detractors, and find your way in a world that really wasn't created thinking you would show up. That's the way I always thought about it. The desks are too big, the chairs are too big, there aren't any ladies' rooms around. That gives you some indication that they weren't expecting you to show up. It's not these are cues that women get, and people discount that, but it's meaningful, but we just sort of kept pushing forward. And thank goodness for people like Barbara Mikulski and and Nancy Kassebaum. It was women on both sides, pushing those barriers. So we're very Geraldine Ferraro. I mean, from New York, she's just legendary. Ann Richards from Texas. I mean, thank goodness we had women who just pushed the envelope.
But I had great relationships with the Italians, and I have to tell you, as director of the CIA, I had a great counterpart in Italy. We shared an awful lot of information together. we really do have a special relationship with Italy, not only because obviously a lot of Italians here in America, but there's also just a special warm relationship that Italians have for the United States of America. And we had the ability to exchange important intelligence. We were working on the same issues. I developed a great relationship with him. I did the same thing as Secretary of Defense, working with the Minister of Defense. And also we have some important bases in Italy, both in the north and in the south. Naples is obviously a huge naval base for the United States. So we have some very important bases. Italy has always been a great ally. I have to tell you, I never had any problems, anything I wanted, anything they wanted. We were able to work together. And besides that, when you go to Italy and you're Italian and your hosts are Italian, you never have a bad meal and you never have a bad glass of wine. It was wonderful to be able to sit
Tough
there
job that somebody had to do it,
and
right?
enjoy great food and great company with them. So answer your question is, I think one of the most important allies we have in Europe is Italy because of that very special relationship.
So there has always been a connection with the Italian cousins in Chicagna. And for my parents' 50th anniversary, the whole family went over to Italy to see my father's first cousins. You know, he had seen them maybe a couple times in his lifetime, but you know, back when my grandfather came to America, there wasn't the money to go back and forth. My grandmother would always read the email letters, the airmail letters on that little thin blue paper that came, and we'd go Sunday afternoons, and we always had Sunday dinner at her house, and there was always a letter that she would read. And so we got to know the cousins without really meeting them until, I probably met my first Italian cousin when I was in high school. But I had known all about them. We known all the stories about them. So it was really special to go out there, take my parents there. My father was overwhelmed. We all were overwhelmed. The entire town came out. We pulled into the town square, you know how they all are with the church in the middle, and all these people were outside in the town square. And my father, we had like 3 carloads of us, and we pulled up. My father's like, what's going on here? We had no idea. And then we see the mayor of the town, who's also the plumber, had his sash with the mayor of Chicagna on it, and just greeted our family. And you just knew they all looked like my father. They looked like my grandfather. They looked like my father. Right. And we had just met a few of the more affluent ones who could afford to come to America. We sort of knew them, but it was just really, we were treated. They did a 50th anniversary party for my parents the entire day. Went through, they're known for their slate. So we were taken to the Slate Museum, and then they're known for this beautiful, and I'm forgetting the name of the restaurant that is on like the foothills of a beautiful mountain. And we were there for, I don't know how many courses, 10 courses. The priest came, and everybody else who was even remotely associated with the Fabianos was there. So it was really wonderful.
This has been quite an exciting week for the Coalition, as we've hosted 6 distinguished experts from the United Kingdom, Italy, Brazil, the United States, for a positive nutrition roundtable here in DC at the Italian Embassy. Now, Roberta, we know you've spent your entire career focused on issues concerning healthy eating and positive nutrition. What are your thoughts about our discussion today and why it's important?
It is very important. Food is part of everyone's life. You know, we eat to live, we live to eat, and it's something that everyone has a passion for. me first. But also at population level, we try to give advice, and it's the policymaker roles to try and translate the science and provide this communication. But we still have problem with that, as you know better than I do, and it's not just in the US, it's a global issue. We haven't got it right yet. And so this is where my passion is. So what does the science say? How do we translate it? How do we make sure that we're using the right science to help people to have better diets, better life, and, live longer and healthier? That's really is the ultimate